Tom Potter.
Okay, Tom, what I want you to do now is watch the clip, pick out one performer, identify and describe all the major strengths and weaknesses of the performer, prioritise the major weakness and create a viable action plan to improve the performer. Describe the opportunities both locally and nationally for participation and progression, and describe all the health and fitness benefits of the activity.
The one player I picked out is number 3, Green, who's wearing a scrum hat. The first strength I found was in the first opening minutes of the game, where he's catching the ball from the kick. As the ball goes up in the air, it's quite a high ball, but he turns his back to face the direction of his try line. So just in case, if he does knock on, then it got played backwards, so it isn't a knock on, and the other team don't get the scrum then. His hands are cradling the ball as the ball comes in and he brings it towards his body, and he has his eye on the ball all the time. And then as soon as he catches the ball, he goes into a low body position, driving his legs, and hits the player with the shoulder to get past the gain line, and places the ball back to the ruck, so it's easier for the number 9 to get it out to the backs. The next, it shows good speed and stamina when he, firstly, he knows that his team has won the rucks, so he's out in the backs waiting for a crash ball. He shows good communication, he's calling for the ball, and he has his hands out as well. He shows good speed here to get away from the player, and he's still driving his legs to get past the try line. I don't think it goes into a try, but even so. And then again, another good placement of the ball, so the number 9 can easily get it out of the ruck and get it straight into the backs. Like I said, he shows good positional play there because he knows that his team's already won it. So he gets out into the back, so there's an overlap opportunity which could lead into a try scoring opportunity. However, he does show poor speed here, as when his players dived on the ball, he's just out in the backs, and he should be in the ruck trying to secure that ball, and this leads into it being knocked off by Reds, and leads into a penalty for Green, but he should still be in that ruck. He should still be trying to fight for that ball. Another one is a poor tactic, is that during the line out, he's not up quick enough to put pressure on the number 9, which could lead into him making a mistake. So once the Reds have won the line out, he's not up quick enough for the number 9, and he's not putting pressure on the 9. So he knows that they've won it, but he's not putting pressure on him, and this leads into the 9 easily getting it out to the back, which could lead to a try scoring opportunity. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Another poor skill is when he's scrummaging. He has a poor positional stance during the scrum. His back's not straight, and he's higher than his opposing prop. So look now, his back's not straight, his head's popped out of the scrum, and this leads into the Reds easily getting the ball and him not pushing for that ball and trying to get his hooker to overcome theirs. This is going to be my priority weakness, because I believe that he should have a straight back during the scrummaging, and I think he needs to learn that he should get lower in the scrum and be driving his legs more. I'm going to use testing before and after the action plan has started. Testing before, I'm going to see how many times he hasn't got straight back in the scrum, and how many times his team loses the ball to opposing, how many times he does have a straight back, and how many times his team does win the ball. The timescale of my action plan will be 6 weeks and 2 sessions a week, and it'll be purely based around him scrummaging, trying to get that straight back and driving his legs. So I'm going to incorporate a scrummage machine into that. The first week of the 2 sessions will just be him pure and simple on the scrummage machine, just him, trying to achieve that straight back by getting a low stance, his legs back, and trying to drive that scrummage machine past a certain point. We can progress this in either week 2 or week 3 by incorporating the other hooker and the other prop into the scrummage machine, so he knows how to grip the hooker properly, on what stance he should be in when the hooker's there. Again, trying to achieve that straight back and driving his legs forward. And then during week 4 or 5, we could progress this even more by having a full scrummage on the scrummage machine, and even incorporating a ball, so just the number 9 feeding in the ball, so he knows that he shouldn't get his legs in the way of the hookers bringing it back. He should still keep us straight back and driving his legs forward. And then in week 6, we could leave the scrummage machine and have an other set of forwards drive, like scrummaging against them, so in a real game situation, so he knows that what he should do in a game and how to be successful at scrummaging. And then I'm going to use testing after to see how many more scrummages his team wins after he's achieved that straight back and driving his legs forward. So
just before we go on, just clarify timescale for me. You said 6 weeks, 2 times a week.
6 weeks, 2 sessions a week.
Anything else? So in terms of your sessions, your individual sessions, any sort of timescale on those?
Maybe 30 to 60 minutes a session. So very short, because you don't want him to get bored and tired of doing the same thing, because that's all he's doing is scrummaging, so he's doing nothing else. The opportunities in rugby, there's a lot of opportunities. Firstly, for mass participation locally, you can get involved in rugby at an early age. Many primary schools and secondary schools now have rugby on the national curriculum as part of PE school lessons. And then as you go into secondary school, normally secondary schools have a club that you can join. So they actually have a school team that you can join, and this will allow you to play teams in like the northwest area, competing for trophies and cups and leagues. And it will get you into a more competitive mindset, and you learn, instead of at primary school where you're just learning it as part of the national curriculum, as part of an extra curriculum activity, you can learn like more tactics and skills and the more in-depth rules and regulations. Like for example, I played for school for 5 years, like travelling around the Cheshire area, playing other schools, competing in cups and trophies. And then if you enjoy that, normally you can go and find a local club that's quite near to your area. Like for example, I played for Marple Rugby Club, which was like 20 minutes away from my school, not even that. And normally the club allows ages from 5 right up to 17-year-olds, and then it goes into adult games. Normally for under 16 you play in friendlies against other teams in the Cheshire area, but then after 17 you start playing Raging Bull Colts leagues, and this is when you're in a league with similar teams with similar abilities than you, so it's fair competition, and you can Also, you can enter Cheshire Cup games, which is a knockout tournament, and this allows lower down teams in leagues to compete for higher teams and try and win the Cheshire Cup. It's a knockout tournament, and if you get knocked out of this one, you go into a Cheshire Plate. So at least every team gets 2 cup games that they play. Mass participation nationally. You can become a coach and you can volunteer at younger age groups. So, for example, after you play for first or second team or third team for the rugby, you can do what's called a start tag rugby course, and this allows you to learn the basics and rules of tag rugby, and this will help in the grassroots scheme that the RFU have of trying to get as many young people participating in rugby as possible. And this is set up at Marple Rugby Club, what's called a Marple Mini section, and this encourages younger children from ages 5 to 12 to participate in tag rugby. And this leads, so you can become a coach then, and that leads into opportunities of volunteering, just helping out, getting the equipment out for them, and even teaching them rules and regulations. And you can progress this by then going on to a level 1 to 4 course, and that will help you learn the basics of contact rugby. Then you can further go on as you become older. You can coach them in contact sports. Also, for excellence locally, after you join the club and go into the Raging Bull Colts Leagues and into the Cheshire Cup, normally during the quarterfinals onwards, there's Cheshire Scouts there that look at any potential players, and if you're lucky enough to be scouted, then you can go for Cheshire trials and play for your area, and then you'll play other areas in what's called an English league, so an English league area. So you would play areas. So you play Cheshire versus Yorkshire, Cheshire versus Lancashire, and then if you're lucky enough, you can go on further to this. During these games, it can be Northwest representatives, scouts, and if you're lucky enough to be scouted for that, you can go into Northwest trials. So this is when you play in other regions of the country, such as South East and East Midlands, into competitions. And then during these matches, during the finals and the quarterfinals, there can be England scouts there for national representation. You can go for England trials, and then you can tour the world and play on the teams in the world for under 18s or under 21s, and then if you go through that, you can even play England for adulthood. The health benefits for rugby, it's a high impact sport, so this can help preserve bone density, achieving a high peak bone density at early adulthood. It can improve your cardiovascular system, as your lungs will increase in volume and become more efficient at gaseous exchange. This will mean that you'll have a lower tidal volume, higher tidal volume, and a lower frequency of breaths. It can also, hypertrophy of the heart can occur. This means that your heart will become more efficient at pumping blood. Resting heart rate will decrease, and your stroke volume and cardiac output will increase as the heart can pump more blood in a less period of time. Hypertrophy of the muscles can also occur as you're using them more regularly. This means that you become bigger and stronger during playing rugby. The social benefits of rugby, because it's a team sport, you're interacting with new people, you're making new friends. For example, I played rugby for school and club, and I would have made friends that I never would have if I didn't play rugby. And also, if you join on to a club or even just play for a school, you feel part of the team, and once you get to know them, you feel more part of the team and you're passionate about that. For mental benefits, it can also help relieve stress, relieve anxiety, and can also prevent depression and prevent boredom as well, because you're always doing something, you're always playing rugby.
Well done, Tom. That's good.